Christopher Pincher.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. First of all, can I pay tribute to the Honourable Member for Sheffield Central for his wry and measured contribution. I remember reading many years ago that an august and former member of this House once said that making one's maiden speech was the easiest speech you'll ever have to make in the House of Commons. Well, standing here as I do right now, and I suspect I speak for a few people standing in my position earlier this evening, that honourable member had a very singular interpretation of the meaning of the word easy, because although it is a tremendous honour, it is also terrifically intimidating. So I can tell the House that nobody is looking forward to the end of my speech more than I am. But let me first say a few words about Tamworth and then my predecessors. Tamworth is an ancient town. Its history stretches back as long as England was formed. It was founded in 874 by King Offa, who built the dyke to keep out the Welsh. Sadly, his defences did not extend to keeping out the Danes, who came and burned down the town a few years later. But the townsfolk were not daunted. They got themselves together, they picked themselves up, and they rebuilt their town. Something which did not commend itself to the Danes, who promptly returned and burned it down again. But I think it says something about the resilience of the people of Tamworth, that they didn't give up, they didn't give in, they built their town again, this time with the help of the Normans, who built a castle to protect it. The castle still stands, and the Danes never returned. And ever since that time, through the reign of Edward II, when the town got its charter, through the reign of Elizabeth I, when it got another charter, to the age of Peel, when the town played host to the launch of the Conservative Party with the Tamworth Manifesto, Tamworth has been literally at the heart of England, has been part of our national history and identity. The sadness is, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that not enough people know about that history. Because when I say to people I come from Tamworth, they say, "Ah yes, the Snowdome," or "Ah yes, the Tamworth 2, the escapee pigs that caused such a furore in the BSE scandal of 8 years ago." They don't say Peel, they don't say the Tamworth Manifesto. So I hope that when my right honourable friend, the member for Surrey Heath, brings forward his education proposals, he makes sure that history is set first and foremost in the teaching of young people, so that they learn much more about places like Tamworth and the Tamworth Manifesto and a little less about the Tamworth 2. But Mr. Speaker, let me now say a few words about the issue at hand, education. Education is an extremely important subject in Tamworth. We have suffered for many, many years with one of the poorest funded local education authorities in the country. And that sets children in Tamworth apart. They start at a disadvantage. We need to even up opportunity for young people, and so I welcome the announcement of my right honourable friend to invite head teachers to apply for academy status, and also to lift the burden of bureaucracy off the backs of teachers and give them more power. Because only if we give head teachers more power and more money to spend on their schools as they see fit, and teachers the time and the space to teach, which is what they want to do, only then will we drive up educational standards, and only then will we improve the morale of the teaching profession. But it's not just about improving education, it's also, Mr. Deputy Speaker, about providing opportunity, job opportunity. And, you know, one of the things I think that we do need to do as a government is to get the burden of bureaucracy off the backs of business, so they can grow and they can prosper, they can create new jobs, so that children now leaving school in Tamworth can become employed, so they can build their prosperity. And I hope that when the government brings forward its great repeal bill, I hope that the Secretary of State for Education will use all his artistry and all his eloquence to prevail upon his friend, the Deputy Prime Minister, to not just focus upon civil liberties in that bill, but the promotion and the preservation of business liberty. I want to see a bonfire of red tape, so that businesses in my constituency, like Forensic Pathways, and Alcon can grow and can prosper and can employ more people and can reward those people. Because it's prosperity, Mr. Deputy Speaker, prosperity, personal prosperity, that is the best guarantee of liberty. And I hope that the government will take that on board. Let me say a few words now about my predecessors. Tamworth's an old constituency. There have been a long line of many great and some rather colourful members for Tamworth. In the 18th century, Sir Thomas Guy built our almshouses and was our member before he went to London and built his hospital. Peel, as I've already mentioned, was a great member for Tamworth. He founded the police force, he reformed our penal laws, he emancipated the Catholics, he repealed the Corn Law, so enshrining free trade as a fundamental principle of the Conservative Party. He was a great statesman and he represented Tamworth. He also, incidentally, Mr. Deputy Speaker, had the county boundary of Staffordshire moved so that his house fell within his constituency. Now, I don't suppose that the modern Boundary Commission will be quite so accommodating to any request I might make, but I suspect that's the price we pay for progress. More recently, some members might remember Sir David Lightman, who was a much loved member in his constituency and much feared in the passageways of this palace, as my honourable friend, the member for Mid Worcestershire, reminded me some years ago to his cost when Sir David, who was a whip of some considerable stature, picked him up by the lapels to remind him which division lobby he was meant to be going into that night. But my immediate predecessor, Mr. Deputy Speaker, was Brian Jenkins. He sat for the seat for 14 years, and in that time he worked hard to put his constituents first and foremost. In the 6 years that I have been the candidate in Tamworth, I've never heard a bad word said about Brian Jenkins. I think he genuinely, therefore, demonstrates that you don't have to sit on the Treasury front bench or be a great orator or be a firebrand like the member for Bolsover to be a good parliamentarian. Brian Jenkins served his constituents conscientiously and quietly for 14 years. And if I can work as hard for them as he worked for them, I will reckon myself to be a good parliamentarian. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's a great honour to stand in this spot where Peel must have stood close by. I said at my count just a month ago, it was the honour of my life to be sent here by the people of Tamworth, and so it is. I feel that honour acutely tonight, and I hope for however many speeches I make, however long I'm here, however many brickbats I get thrown out at that side or from this side, I acutely remember that honour.